Well, good afternoon and welcome to this very exciting event. First of all, I want to start off by thanking everyone who spent the morning together with us, the BC Liberal Big Family. So glad to see you all again in person, and thank you for the enthusiasm and excitement that we feel in the room today. So great job. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you joining us on this Facebook event as we get to know our leadership candidates just a little bit better. We are so lucky that we have 6 fantastic candidates, and today you're going to see them present in a variety of different ways, I'm told. They've been invited to consider the use of audiovisual and a variety of ways to tell their story and to share their vision for the future of British Columbia. I am so excited about the future of our party, and we felt it this morning in this room as people brought great ideas, talked to one another, and had an opportunity to be together for the first time in a very long time. We have new members joining every single day. We're seeing our members, our existing members, get engaged. And I just want to remind you that the deadline to become a new member of the BC Liberal Party is December the 17th. So if you are not a member and you want to join, you can visit bclib.ca/join. I do want to recognize, before we turn the stage over to our fantastic candidates, that we are on the traditional territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nation. So we're in for an exciting afternoon. We look forward to those of you joining us from across the province, and I know that you'll give each and every candidate a very warm welcome as they share their vision for the future of our party. Enjoy the afternoon.
My name is Ellis Ross. I'm an Aboriginal born on reserve in Kitimat Village, BC. Initially, when I got into politics, I let my name stand at nomination because I thought I could take some of my council's resources and help my basketball teams that I was coaching, men's, women's, girls, boys, only to find out that my band was one of the poorest bands on the west coast of BC. We had no money. And so that opened up my world to what governance was all about. I had to think outside the box to help people that truly needed help. So I kind of grew into the role. I come from a tough background, but with hard work and with some dedication and sacrifice, myself and my wife carved out good lives for ourselves. And now our children are actually on a better path. So I always keep that back in my mind that the general population, not all of us are educated or well off. It helps when leaders understand this. So when I became a leader of my community, I decided to actually work as hard as I could to bring opportunity. First for my community, but then I realized that the region needed opportunity. And so it kind of went hand in hand. That led me to the MLA's position, where I thought that the failure of LNG in BC was something I could fix, I could help. And so I resigned as chief councillor and got elected as MLA twice. In my learning curve, in terms of looking at society as well as our economy, there's one thing I noticed. Through the toughest times, the well-educated people do okay. They're fine, they can survive. But the people that need a helping hand, suffer the most. And so I'm all for the economy for a strong province, strong communities. But I've always thought about those people that need an extra hand. And that's what I try to do by creating the opportunity so that somebody can walk through the door to that opportunity. I think I'd bring a different perspective. As British Columbians, considering where we're going in the next 10, 20, 30 years, we've got to put aside our politics and we've got to rethink where our future lies. Because if we don't, we're in for some dark times. And more importantly, our kids will be in for dark times. And I don't want that to happen. We're in a unique position right now to consider the leadership of a party that knows how to develop an economy. And I'd like to take the skills and expertise of BC Liberals and take that to the next level. The past 4 years, I've been listening to British Columbians and BC Liberals saying that we need change. The BC Liberals have to change. I might add that as British Columbia as a province, we need change. And I am that change. I'm Ellis Ross, and I'm running to be the leader of the BC Liberals. Please visit our website, ellisrossforbc.ca, for more information and, more importantly, to learn how to sign up as a BC Liberal member so you can vote for me on February 5th, 2022. All right. Hey guys. Fizzy
Ellis. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Events, gatherings like these of politically interested people are what keep our system together. Our democracy, which we cherish, which Ellis, you of all people especially know, is so important to us in British Columbia and in Canada. So thank you all. Ellis, I'm honored to be up here on stage with you today.
Thanks,
My name is Azim. I'm the Director of Communications for Ellis's campaign, and what a journey it's been.
Thank you. Likewise.
So, Ellis is a very humble guy, and there's some things that he won't say about himself, so I've got to say them for him. Ellis Ross is a recipient of the Order of British Columbia, of the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal. He's been named one of the most influential, important people in British Columbia by several magazines. He's been invited as a keynote speaker to conferences on climate change, economic development, and reconciliation. He's an expert in these subject matter areas, although he sometimes won't admit it.
You guys should be writing this down. There'll be a test later.
So you've seen the video showing a little bit about Ellis's background. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Ellis, right here, would you be able to read this message which you put out on Twitter?
They taught me how to value family, community, hunt, fish. No.
I know it's close to you. Dad wanted me to stand up for those who couldn't. Mom taught me to provide. They both went to residential school and didn't complain about their lot in life, and we miss them terribly. And your parents did come from a different place, from Reserve, and so did you. Those are the values they instilled in you, and it's what you were brought up with. Why do you think those values and your lived experiences make you the right person to lead the BC Liberal Party?
Well, because I'm grassroots. When you're talking about grassroots, you're talking about people all over BC, just regular people that really want to just actually make their way through life. They want to prosper, not only for themselves, but for their families, for their kids and their grandkids. That's the kind of values and the principles that I've actually employed throughout all my political career. It was always about, making sure that people had a good life, and in turn the community would get stronger, and in turn the province would get stronger. It's something I've never steered away from in the last 17 years of my leadership.
And the other picture we've got next to that is you receiving the Order of British Columbia. Could you speak to a little bit of why you received the order and the work that you did?
Well, that was actually bestowed on me by Christy Clark. And that's actually where I truly started to understand what it was like to have a working relationship with a party that had the same values that I was trying to achieve for my communities and my region. And mainly what it was is our cooperation with the BC Liberals in terms of trying to get LNG across the finish line, getting the first ever forest and range agreement signed in 2006, as well as some mining projects, and on and on and on. It's actually why I joined the BC Liberals in 2017, because I wanted to help the BC Liberals get LNG as well as some other projects. So I think the BC Liberals is actually aligned with my values more than any other party.
Absolutely. And can you speak to how it transformed your region when you were able to successfully collaborate with other leaders, with community groups, and get that across the finish line? What that did for people in terms of having a job that could provide for the first time?
Oh, it was night and day. You got to remember, in our region, the methanol plant had shut down, the pulp and paper mill had shut down, forestry wasn't doing so great, and then so there was nothing. So as a young man, like many young men in our region, we had no opportunity. But working with the BC Liberals in terms of LNG, with LNG Canada, the $40 billion project that's actually getting built right now in Kitimat, the largest private investment in Canadian history, provided 10,000 jobs at least from Fort St. John to Kitimat Village and some First Nation communities down Channel. It actually transformed BC. That's what I was a part of. And now, no longer in our region, we're not talking about welfare lists. We're not talking about poverty. The next generation is talking about mortgages. They're talking about vacations. They're talking about buying vehicles, boats. It's absolutely night and day. And so that's what I really appreciate about, a party that actually believes strongly in economic development, even though I've got different opinions on it. I truly believe we can have economic development with high environmental standards, which we prove in Kitimat. But we can also address a large number of the social issues that we addressed in Kitimat. We're living proof.
Now, Ellis, first, I've got to ask you a little bit about your change narrative. You've been described as the change candidate. It's what we hear from people when we visit rooms in Richmond, Surrey, Burnaby, Coquitlam, Prince Rupert, all across British Columbia. Why do you think that is?
You know what? I've gone around there and just told the truth. It's something I was taught to do. Just be honest and be truthful. It's what my dad and my mother taught me throughout my career. So I can't really subscribe to the politician's narrative. I can't do that. I've never done it before. I've actually gone out and told people what I'm going to do. I give them updates, and then I told them the results of it, whether it was successful or not. It's actually provides so much success, and I think that's what people are looking for. People that we go around all around BC, Richmond, Surrey, Fort St. John, Cranbrook, they're tired of politics. They're tired of the politician's narrative. They're tired of the false promises. And given the fork in the road that we're at right now, I think it's more important than ever to steer away from politics, especially division politics, because we got a choice to make. We either go down this dark road of COVID and everything that entails, including the societal impacts, as well as the economic impacts, or we pick another road. And this is why I think that people all over the place, from Richmond to Surrey to Cranbrook to Fort St. John, that's why people are actually aligning with us and joining up to our campaign.
And Ellis, when we talk about the old way of doing politics, one of the things that we hear leadership campaigns doing a lot is making promises to other politicians and promises to organizers on the ground. How do you feel about that? Have you been doing that on your campaign?
No, and it is something that I've learned over the years as a leader not to do it. I'm just running on the principle that I can offer a different brand of leadership. That's all I'm doing. And I take that back from the previous 17 years of experience in terms of people wanting me to make promises to other parties or campaigns or promises I can't keep. I can't do that. I got to be realistic. It actually, not only does it speak to leadership, it actually speaks to good governance. And everything that entails good governance, that's where I think we got to be heading as BC, even for the short term. Because like the video said, we're in for some dark times if we don't get this ship under control. This is the party to do it, and I've done it before, I can do it again.
And in the Lower Mainland, we're packing out rooms all across the Lower Mainland. What are the people saying to you? Why do you think they're so receptive to you and what you're saying?
Well, I'm basically just going out there and telling exactly what I'm just telling you right now. In fact, if you think about what they've done in Richmond, it took a while for them to warm up to me, but I've been invited back 5 times.
Different people every time.
And different people every time. They're bringing in groups to come and meet us. Surrey, we've been out there 4 times. Each time it's a different group that comes in. It's gotten to the point now where when I walk into a temple in Surrey, for example, people are saying hi to me in the lobby. They actually got me up to dance, very poorly, I might add, at Diwali. And when I tried to quit, they dragged me back on the floor to do some more dancing. But it comes down to what's resonating. It's listening. I mean, thinking about the people in Surrey, for example, we know they want a hospital and school. But did you know they want recreational facilities for their young people to steer them away from the crime, the life of crime? Did we know that there's communities there that want to build senior homes? We got to get back to listening. We got to get back in those church basements where there's only 3 people showing up. We got to get back in the restaurants where only 6 or 7 people showing up and just talk. We don't have to have the 700 people at a function. And it can't be just when we want something out of these communities. If the demographic has been changing so much and the politics have been changing so much all across BC, we got to get in there and understand the new issues. The old formula for the BC Liberals worked. It did work. It's a good foundation. But we got to build on it because we haven't changed with the times. That's what I'm proposing, and I think that's why so many people are signing on to our campaign.
And here we've got a slide, and it's showing the level of engagement we're getting through our Facebook page. And as we can see, it's more than the BC Liberal Party and all of the other campaigns combined. Ellis, why do you think our message, your message of change that can win, is resonating with British Columbians at such a high level?
I think it speaks to 2 things. Number one, it speaks to technology. And I've been doing social media for the better part of 15 years. When Facebook came around, I actually latched onto it because I was told if you don't get onto social media, it'll be like the people that ignored telephones and computers. So I've been doing it. And by the way, when you look at these numbers, I have not boosted any of these numbers. I have not paid for any of these numbers to be boosted. This is natural. Some of the videos I put out there in the last 10 years are reaching 500,000 views because the message is simple, but the platform is something of the future. This is only going to get bigger, not only in terms of social media, but the technology. And this is where we're lacking in BC.
And in the BC Liberal Party.
And the BC Liberal Party. I mean, I know this from the inside out. And so Facebook, WhatsApp, those are all good platforms, but there's more coming down. There's Instagram, for example, TikTok. There's more coming down. There's other ethnic social media platforms that the BC Liberals have to acknowledge and they have to accept. It's a different world out there, and the younger generation is living in it. We've got to reach into technology, not only for the betterment of BC's future, but for the sake of reaching out to those British Columbians that don't know about us because we're not taking advantage of social media platforms.
I got one last question for you, Ellis, before we wrap up today. What does change that can win mean to you? And why are you the change candidate?
I think change that can win is actually doing what I'm doing right now, going out there and talking to British Columbians. And you know what? We've got to win in 2024 if we want to turn around this province. What we're seeing right now in terms of high taxes, high debt, high deficit, high interest on that debt, that's a check that's going to have to be cashed by our kids and our grandkids. That's not right. We've got to turn this around. That's why I'm proposing change, not only for the BC Liberals, but British Columbia as a whole.
All right, well, thank you everybody here in this room for taking the time to listen to us today. Ellis, thank you so much for having me with you on stage. I appreciate it.
Introducing Val Litwin.
Amazing. I didn't realize someone was going to introduce me. Fabulous. It's great to be here. I actually have to say it's a miracle my pants match my jacket because we had a power outage this morning and I was literally changing in the dark in my bedroom saying to my wife, can you turn on the light on your iPhone? Is this working? But it's fabulous to be here. Obviously, I'm Val Litwin. It's an honor to be on this stage and to be talking to you this afternoon. I'm especially excited to be in front of a live audience. We just haven't had this in so long, so the energy is so palpable, it's different, and it's inspiring for me. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge I have a couple of members of my team here today. So Muna Saeed, Georgie Secretariat, and Cole Anderson, please stand up and just give a quick wave, because this race is about renewal, and I am building a phenomenally talented and smart young team. We've got wise, experienced people on my team as well, but I'm so honored they're here and joining me on this campaign. So if you caught the first debate, I made an analogy about how this party needs to download the new operating system. And what I said was, look, we all know what it feels like to open your laptop, to start up your computer. There's a little pop-up screen that says, it's time to download the new operating system. And we all know what we do. It's a natural human trait. We click remind me later. So today, I want to talk about the new operating system that I'm thinking about for this party. And I'm going to talk about my vision and plan for the party. And I'm going to talk about 4 things. We're going to talk about brand. I'm going to talk about people. I'm going to talk about tools, and I'm going to talk about vision. So let's talk about what a winning brand can look like for this party. And when we talk about brand, we have to understand now, and I think most of us do, brand is so much more than a name and a logo. It is the feelings, it is the perception, it is the stories we tell ourselves about our brands and the companies that we work with. But we have to go deeper this time when we talk about a name change. And I think Facebook right now is a very interesting case study when we talk about name versus perception. So Facebook is going through quite a bit of bad press right now, right? And is it fair to say that they're not exactly changing their culture or their practices? What have they done? They've changed the name. But does that change how we feel about Facebook? It's still Facebook, right? So we have to be having a much deeper conversation around our name than just, are we changing a color palette and logos? The millennials and Gen Zs that we want to be pulling into this party, they are the most brand-savvy generations on the history of the planet. And they see and will smell a bad rebrand a mile away. So we have to go deeper. I've spent my career building brands from scratch and reinvigorating old legacy brands to become something new. I started a first-to-market franchise company with 2 amazing women business partners called Blow Dry Bar. It's now a global force with 100 locations worldwide. I joined Nurse Next Door. At the time, it was a dominant Canadian home healthcare brand. We drove it into the US with new brand positioning and new systems and operating tools. And then, of course, I had the honor of being the CEO of the BC Chamber of Commerce for 4 years, a 75-year-old legacy organization here, business association in BC, and we drove it into the 21st century. But the secret ingredient in all of these companies and the brands we built was culture, the part that is felt, not always seen, that is defined with the core values of the organization, the clear articulation of purpose, and the rules of the road around behavior. It is all the stuff that is felt, that is not seen. And I'll tell you what, we created accountable cultures. And accountable cultures attract talent, they attract diversity, and they navigate difficult waters much better than brands that don't figure that culture piece out. So let me tell you what my commitment is when it comes to the brand. We are going to run a fast, fair, and inclusive process to talk about our core values and our new priority set before we talk about a new name. We're going to make sure the drink inside the can, we figure it out before the artwork on the outside. Let's talk about people. We are a broad coalition of conservatives and liberals. Where else do you see a gathering like this in a room? Especially a political party. Come on, it's incredible. But we know that the secret ingredient in that is that we were not and have never been ideological. We have been evidence-based. We have focused on smart policy. And I am so proud of our history. The builders and the visionaries that we have had put this province together. W.A.C. Bennett, Gord Campbell, Bill Bennett, Christy Clark. These, again, are the leaders and the visionaries that have done so much for this province. The infrastructure, that's connected BC. The carbon tax in 2008, we led the world. And then, of course, an entire LNG export industry that has positioned us for great opportunity and prosperity moving forward. So I want to take our legacy and I want to move us into what comes next. And I want to be really clear about something. For me, renewal is not revolution. It is tapping into the wisdom and the experience we have in this room and embracing what comes next. We're going to build on the past, and we're going to embrace what comes next. The new voices we were talking about today, the 61% of the population in BC that is now under the age of 40, we need to pull them in and have a different conversation with them. Young women, young students, young families, these are the people we need to power the party moving forward. Now, we unintentionally sent signals in 2020, and again this week, that maybe some groups aren't welcome in this party. But I know that is not true. And we fix this by demonstrating we hear, see, and honor those groups. And I know we do, but it's about the behavior and what we show in community. So my comment here is we are going to build a new pipeline of leaders, a conveyor belt of talent, of young people, of diverse people in this party, so we can tap into the wisdom and the history and the legacy of where we've been with this party, but again, move it now into the future with a new value set and clear rules around behavior and accountability. By the way, when it comes to opportunity in our legacy, it's important for me to say, I know that the NDP can't do what this party has done. I know it because I've seen it. I was appointed to the Premier's Economic Recovery Task Force at the beginning of the pandemic, and we convened every week for 90 minutes with the Premier. By the way, this is not to show that I'm friends with the Premier. This is just me bringing the data and the evidence of how we need to be changing course in BC from a policy perspective. But we would convene once a week on that Economic Recovery Task Force, and you know the one thing we never spoke about? Economic recovery. So we are the party to figure this out. Now I want to talk a little bit about the tools. The landscape has changed. We need to get to where voters are going to be in 2024. As leader, my number one responsibility would be to serve you. We have riding presidents in this room, and if this is the webcam, and hopefully you're watching from home, Shirley, did you do a roll call to make sure everyone is on paying attention at home? So I spent my time as a leader in two of the strongest, most impactful franchise systems in Canada, Nurse Next Door and Blow Dry Bar. Let me tell you something about franchise systems. The best franchise systems in the world understand their success is based on the power and capability of the grassroots. So my job as leader of the party would be to equip you with the most modern tools to do your job at the local level, to feed your intelligence and insight into the heart of the party, because that is what will make us win. When I think about some of the new tools, I was excited to see some of them on the screen today during the financial update, but look, automated fundraising tools, event templates, automated call-outs so we can be engaging with people, a data platform that allows you to understand so we don't have to be bringing in pollsters and spending our hard-earned fundraise cash, where we can be tapping into real-time, the grassroots, find out what's keeping them up at night and how we have to be pivoting our message. So we don't need a BCL Win 2.0, we need a BCL Win 4.0, and I've done that because I've run some of the best franchise systems in Canada, and I'll tell you something, I've been watching very closely what the NDP are up to right now. They are running like a world-class franchise system. I'm watching the systems, the way they recruit members, the way they retain volunteers, and how they raise money. It looks very much like a franchise system to me. I know how to do it. I've done it before. This is an example of a great company that I think we could be setting up systems and protocols to be engaging people and getting them into our party. So let's talk about the vision. When I launched my campaign, I suggested that the old but winning BC Liberal formula won't work anymore. It can't. That's because any party in Western democracy now that wants to win, that's serious about forming government, has to be talking about people. We need to be putting people and communities in the middle of our picture. But the truth about our party is that we understand it is economies, strong, fair, inclusive economies that support people and communities. So the formula that we knew, it's still a part of the new formula moving forward, but it is just a part. We now need to pair compassion with competitiveness. I believe in free markets. I believe in low taxes. I believe in deep infrastructure investments. I am a fiscally responsible type of person, but my career, I have spent it in the service of people and communities, and this for me is the new formula. I talked briefly about what we did at the BC Chamber, and I want to tell just a quick story about when I joined the organization. We had two problems, and these may sound very familiar to you. We were struggling with relevance, and we were struggling with revenue. So what did we do? We leveraged our historical strength, the fact that we had the biggest business membership in British Columbia, almost 40,000 members. We did a great partnership with a BC-based technology company called Vision Critical, and we literally put all the thoughts and feelings of our membership into the cloud, into a cloud-based insight community. And it transformed how we started talking to the grassroots. It gave us an edge. When we went to government, we said, this is literally what is on the minds of our members. We went from being an old boys business advocacy association to a modern evidence-based organization that was driving deep impact. And at its fullest expression, this partnership, we were briefing the PMO every 2 weeks with the data out of our platform, driving deep change. We were amplifying local community voices. I think we could be that party as well, a tech-enabled party that understands what's happening at the grassroots in real time, and I think it will open incredible new doors for us as a party. And you know, we actually did some great work with the members of the BC Liberal Caucus during the pandemic. Many of you will recall, we were hearing from the small, medium-sized enterprise community around BC that the temporary layoff provision, without it being extended, was going to cause thousands of small businesses in BC to become insolvent, and probably they'd have to lay off their teams, tens of thousands of jobs we were going to lose. Together, the BC Chamber with other organizations, our data platform, this party, we pushed for the extension of the temporary layoff provision twice, and I think we saved thousands of jobs. This is the kind of work we can keep doing to look after people and communities. That's my vision for what the party can look like, and this new formula, I think, is what will win in 2024. But just being in this room, feeling the energy today, hearing the conversations, great, there's the strategy. But I want this party, and I want the people in the room, this room, especially the young people, I want them to be putting their affiliation with this party on their LinkedIn profile because they're so proud of the work they do with this party. I want them talking about it in job interviews. I want to keep making lifelong friendships like the kind Shirley has been talking about today. Let's keep being that party as we embrace what comes next. So I actually thought, I keep looking at my notes, I thought I knew how I was going to end today, but being here with all you in the room, I just want to speak from the heart. It is a real honor to be on this stage because it's my first time being on this stage. And I know many caucus members and leaders in this race have been on this stage many times, so it's an honor to be here for the first time. It is also an honor to be presenting something that I think is different to this party. And I think if we embrace this new formula, competitiveness meets compassion, I think we can win in 2024. I think if this party elects someone new to lead it, we will send a signal, a very clear signal, that this party has renewed in earnest. I think we will win in 2024 if we have a leader who has an experience in their career around business, but who has the energy to take us into the next chapter. And I think we will win in 2024 if we elect a leader who has spent as much time in business as they have serving and supporting those local communities. So I'm Val Litwin. There's a QR code on the screen there. Please feel free to scan it. If you want to join my team, learn more, I would love you to join the push to become the next leader of the BC Liberal Party. It's been an honor to be here today. Thank you so much.
For me, this is all about family. It's about making sure my kids have a future full of opportunity right here in BC. But it's bigger than that. It's about believing that we can make BC better for people and families, no matter where they live. I know the struggles that young people and families are facing right now. The struggle to afford a home, to build a business, to find childcare. That's why Aaron and I started our own licensed childcare center to provide another option for local families. It's been a tough year for all of us. As we move from pandemic response to economic recovery, our party needs a leader who will bring people together and bring back hope. I'm running to lead the BC Liberal Party because I believe it's time to restore the promise of a better BC for all of us, for people and families who are struggling, and for entrepreneurs and investors choosing whether to build something exciting right here in BC or go somewhere else. Our party needs renewal of energy and ideas. We should be proud of our great leaders and what we've accomplished in the past. But now, we need to look to the future. That means a committed new leader who will welcome a new generation of voters into our party, while also recognizing those who got us here. I will bring new energy, new ideas, and new leadership to instill confidence for BC's next generation so they can build the future we all want for our children and grandchildren. I'm running to lead the BC Liberal Party because I believe in a better BC for people and families. I'm asking for your support, and I'm asking you to believe.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erin Shum, and I am excited to introduce you to my husband, Gavin. I met Gavin on the campaign trail when I was running for the Vancouver Park Board, and he got me elected. Gavin was my rock for 4 years. That time together in the trenches strengthened our relationship. He knew how hard it was as a woman in politics, so he always had my back. As someone who knows Gavin well, I know how passionate and energetic he is about business, politics, and service. I know that there's no one better suited to lead our party and our province forward. There are 4 things I want you to know about Gavin. He works harder than anyone I know. As we built a life and a home for our young family, he had a full-time job flying to and from Ontario every week while also building and selling a company on the side and running political campaigns. I swear, he's like the Energizer rabbit. He just doesn't stop. I can find him at 3 a.m. in the morning, and he's on his phone writing an email or planning the next business plan and preparing emails to send to you that you get twice a week. Gavin is all about family. You probably know that with all the cute videos and photos you see on social media. He's obsessed with our kids. He's doing this to help families just like ours, so they can, and yours, so then they can have the opportunity to work hard and get ahead. The opportunity to build a better life for their children and grandchildren, their parents and their grandparents. Gavin genuinely cares about people. He loves connecting with them. People talk about politicians you'll have a beer with. Well, Gavin wants to talk to you. He literally wants to have a conversation with everyone. He treats everyone as an equal, whether it's a CEO, a cabinet minister, or a caregiver, or someone he just met. He wants to understand their story and find a way to connect. Gavin loves to help people and solve problems. He's the guy you call when you have a problem, whether he's helping a high school student with a social studies essay, or helping fix a business plan, or getting a $1 billion project built. Nothing is more exciting to him than being handed a problem to solve. Our party has a big challenge ahead: to rebuild. We need a committed, energetic leader who will do the hard work and solve the tough problems. We need someone who cares about people and really connects with them. And we need someone who can move our party forward and win the 2024 election. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my husband, Abby and Evan's dad, the next leader of the BC Liberal Party, Gavin Dew.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been waiting a long time to roll out my secret weapon, and you just met her. It's a 2-for-1 deal, folks. You can cast up to 6 votes, but 1 vote gets you 2 campaigners that'll get out there in the trenches with mud on their boots and win the next election. I am so incredibly, incredibly proud of my wife, Erin. I'm proud of her as a mother. I'm proud of her as a small business person. I'm proud of her as a Rotary president, and I'm proud of her as a former elected official. She spent 4 years standing up against tax hikes, standing up against ridiculous NDP-style policies, and standing up for autism families in Vancouver. And right now, her experience as an autism educator and advocate is more topical than ever, because the NDP is stripping away resources and stripping away choices from families in the autism community, and that's just not right. My experience working with Erin and helping and supporting her in her political career as a young woman in politics drove home for me the importance of culture in a political organization. On my campaign, culture was the first conversation we ever had before we made an org chart or raised a nickel. We knew we wanted to put people and families back at the heart of our party. And you see that in our policies, you see that in our messaging, you see that in all of those cute family photos that I'm sending you guys all the time, because we are, and we must be seen to be, the party of families. I want to pick up on what Mama Bear, Shirley Bond, said earlier. Our party is a political family. All of us are knit together, whether we've known each other well for decades or whether we've never met. We're knit together by common experiences in the trenches of politics. Door knocking in the rain, Burma shaving in the rain, putting up signs also in the rain. Sometimes it's even sunny. We're all knit together by that common experience we know, which is election night, when you're waiting with bated breath for the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat, or when you're waiting those extra 2 weeks nervously, like landslide Jordan Sturdy, to know 60 votes one way or another. Trust is made in trenches. Political families are made in trenches. Culture, our culture, is made in trenches. I'm so thankful for the experiences I've had in politics and in this party. I met my wife on the campaign trail. When we got married, all 6 of my groomsmen were people I'd met in my time in politics. I'm so thankful for the new family I've been making on this campaign, for my sassy little sister, Jazz Badesha. Now, when I was thinking about whether I was going to run, I talked to Jazz. And she gave me some tough love. She said, Gavin, you've been telling young people they need to get up there, they need to run, and we need to renew in politics. You've been saying that for 10 years. What kind of beeping hypocrite would you be if you didn't put your name in the hat right now, when now more than ever our party needs generational renewal? Thank you, Jazz, for that tough love. It's not the easy stuff that bonds us together. It's not just the wins. It's the tough stuff. Now, I'm no Steve Thompson, but I played rugby growing up. And Steve, I don't know if you're like me, but my favorite rugby was always mud rugby. Those rainy days when it's cold as heck and the fields are covered in mud puddles, and you have a choice. You can either shiver and surrender, or you can get out there, tackle somebody into a mud puddle, get your heart rate up, and get into the fight. That's the choice. And I don't see a lot of surrender in this room today. I want to take you back to another hard fight, 2013. In the 2013 election, I was running one campaign, helping two others, and working on Trans Mountain, so it was kind of a busy time. That was a tough election. We had been written off, my friends. We were written off by the media. We were written off by the pundits. We were written off by the pollsters. We were written off by the business community. Heck, we were even written off by some of our own people who walked away. But a lot of people stepped up. We got a ton of great new candidates, people like Todd Stone, Greg Kylo, Corley Oakes, Suzanne Anton. I could name them, but I'd run out of time. We got a lot of new people, and what did they do? They stepped up, and a spirit of defiance filled them, and they went the extra mile. And what I heard time and again when I spoke to people during that election was there might be an NDP government, but we need a strong local MLA to stand up to the NDP. And when the votes were counted, we formed an opposition so strong that it was a new government. We formed a new government with more than 20 new MLAs, and our party had a new lease on life. Those of us who were there in 2013 or in other tough elections know that it is the tough times in the trenches that bond us together as a political family. Trust is made in trenches. Political families are made in trenches, and culture is made in those trenches with mud on our boots. We need a new leader who has been in those trenches, who is not afraid to work as hard or harder than anyone that they will ask to work for them and to work for our party. We need someone who is not afraid to lead from the front, and we need someone who is not afraid to get in the fight, because we have a tough fight ahead to defeat the NDP in 2024. We need to build on the trust we have as a family in order to get through the hard conversations that this leadership are all about. Who are we? Where do we go from here? What is our culture? We've had some hard conversations this week. We need to be unafraid to gather around the family table and have conversations about our culture and to make sure that it is welcoming. Because when new people like Val Litwin think about marrying into our party, they want to know what culture they're marrying into. We need to make sure that we are extending a warm welcome and bringing people into our party, because we have no choice but to grow our family if we want to win the next election. And the way we do that is literally families. We are facing a totally different electoral landscape in the next election. We will see a significant shift of representation from rural to urban. We need to win those young, multicultural, suburban families that look a lot like my family. We need to defend rural representation, but we must go on the offense in urban and suburban British Columbia in order to win the next election. To do that, we need a leader who can connect us with the next generation of families and the next generation of business, community, and political leaders. We need a committed leader who has been in the trenches, who has fire in their belly, and who is ready, willing, and able to take the fight to the NDP. But it's more than just one person. We need all of us, all of the leadership candidates, all of you in this room, all of the people who are watching online. We need our whole family united. I was thinking this morning, our last convention was 3 years and a few days ago, right here in this room. It's been 3 years since we've gathered as a family. I don't know about you, but I can't wait for our next convention. I can't wait to gather with hundreds of our family members, to raise a glass, to shake a hand, to give a hug, to say I've missed you, it's been too long, to say I'm ready to move forward together and win. Thank you.
Hearing that Kevin's going to be running for the leadership of the BC Liberal Party just put life back into politics for me. And I know for a lot of other families that I've talked to in our community who have children with special needs, they're saying to me, what can we do to help? That's how much we believe in him because he's proven to us when he was our MLA. My name is Roxanne Black, and I'm the mom of 3 wonderful children, one of whom has autism. I met Kevin Falcon years ago when he was our MLA. We went to apply to a private Catholic school and were rejected because my son had special needs. And I knew that many families in our area, in our community, were struggling as well. Falcon helped get us services for our child so that he could progress in life. He met with all the other families. You know, there were lineups at his door basically asking for the same kind of help. We had troubles, you know, as an advocacy group with the bureaucrats in Victoria. Kevin, you know, we would tell him one thing and he would go to Victoria and they would tell him something different. And so Falcon said, I'm going to put you all in the same room and get to the bottom of this. And he did. And there's no other politician all across the country in a position of power that I personally dealt with that ever cared as much as Kevin Falcon. You know, Kevin is definitely a business savvy guy, but I'm here to say that this person, this human, has such a heart.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's families like this that motivate all of us to get involved in public life, whether as a volunteer or whether you put your name forward as a candidate. The realization that our party, while we were in government, brought in the kind of direct funding so that parents could make decisions in the best interest of their special needs kids, like Roxanne Black's family. That's what we did. And you know, when the NDP decide that they're going to tear away that kind of direct funding for families without speaking to a single organization involved in the autism community, without speaking to any of the families that's going to impact, that is not acceptable. But it's also an important differentiation that we need to think about, because it's that fundamental difference between the NDP and the BC Liberals. Our belief that parents know best what services are going to be best available and useful for their children with special needs. And the NDP approach that says government knows best, because that's what the NDP does. And I just want to tell you that that is one of the reasons why I'm getting back into politics, because those principles really matter. And I want to commend Shirley Bond and Corinne Kirkpatrick, who have been holding them accountable in question period and making sure they don't get away with that kind of arrogant decision-making that strips away those rights and that funding from those families that need it most. So let's put our hands together for the great job they're doing. The need for leadership, for inclusion, for compassion, and results still matters. And I want to say that last weekend's incident that involved highly disrespectful behavior offered a reminder about the need, too, for respect and professionalism, something that I will always, without exception, stand for in no uncertain terms. And that's why I took action to understand what happened, and once I had the facts, I immediately severed the relationship with the offending individual. And I've been very clear about something from the very, very start. I will have zero tolerance for this kind of behavior, and the party and government, should I have the opportunity to lead it, will also have zero tolerance. But in fact, I'm excited to lead a party that stands for the kind of inclusion and respect, and for attracting the kind of people who will share those values. It's why I've built a campaign team that brings about different perspectives that inform us to be better. It's why I'm so proud to have two campaign co-chairs, highly accomplished women like Diane Watts and Puneet Sander, that provide that kind of direction and focus. It's why my two youth co-chairs, Samantha and Alexandra, make me so proud of the next generation of leaders that are going to build our province and our future. And it's why my Women's Advisory Council, who I can tell you, always keep us focused on the big vision and the big picture about how we can be so much better going forward. Because to bring the best our party has to offer forward is how we're going to beat the NDP in 2024. And the best of our party means appreciating the unique contributions of all of the leadership campaigns and some of the great ideas that are coming out of each of those campaigns. The best of the party means that we emerge stronger from this leadership race, ready to work together as the amazing team that we all represent. And the best of this party means standing for principles and embracing diversity, because that's who we are as a party. But let's be honest about something. We can do all that and we could still fail in 2024. Our ideals are important, that's who we are, but we need to be more than that. Today, we are getting out-fundraised by the NDP. We're getting out-organized, in some cases, by the NDP. And we've got to stop buying into the NDP narrative about our party record in government, folks. Because let me tell you this, I've traveled to every part of this province in the last 6 months, and I can't see anything the NDP's done in any part of this province. But I'll tell you what they have done. They've canceled some really great projects that would have been really nice to see right here in the Lower Mainland. The Massey Tunnel decision is probably the epically dumbest decision I have ever seen since I've been involved in government. Can you imagine? Todd Stone and the BC Liberals had a 10-lane bridge that would have been open next summer, designed for rapid transit, that would have connected the Bridgetown SkyTrain station all the way to South Surrey. It would have had 10 beautiful lanes that would have helped traffic get back and forth in one of the most congested corridors in the Lower Mainland. And what did the NDP do? They say, no, that's no good. We'll go to an 8-lane tunnel. 2 of the lanes for buses, which means you get 3 lanes in each direction. In other words, no change from what we have today. The difference is it's just going to take 8 years longer and cost $2 billion more. Or they'll say, gosh, we're going to replace the Batalo Bridge. And I can tell you, folks in Surrey say, hey, that's great. So glad to see that finally happening. But when they find out they're going to spend $2 billion to give the same 4 lanes that we've had since 1938, they say that isn't working for us. But that's the NDP, folks. And I'm telling you right now that for us to get ahead, for us to win, we got to make sure that we are going to out-fundraise them, we are going to out-hustle them, and we are going to have a better vision for going forward in British Columbia. That's how we're going to build our support. That's how we're going to build our momentum, the strength of our ideas. Because I want you to know this, for 12 years, I represented exactly the kind of riding in Surrey that we need to hold to win government in British Columbia. And my riding of Surrey-Cloverdale, which I used to win by some of the largest margins in the province, is now held by the NDP. And I want it back. And in fact, I want them all back. All the ones right through the Fraser Valley, right out to the Hope Corridor. And we're going to win them back. And we're going to win new seats in Richmond and the Tri-Cities, and we're going to win seats in Vancouver, because we are going to build momentum. And we're going to have a vision going forward that is going to bring the kind of excitement and support that we need in this party. You know, last night I was in Surrey at a leadership event I held. Over 600 people excited about the possibilities for this party and our future. Excited. The kind of people that we need. I held another event just a few days earlier with some young professionals right here in Vancouver. Young women and men. Diverse, young, excited about the future, knowing that a vision and principles and policies that can bring people together is how we're going to win. Because at the end of the day, Experience does matter. I'm here to tell you, folks, it does actually matter. Track record matters too, because a lot of the public are going to say, well, yeah, politicians, they promise all kinds of things. What have they actually done? Well, we're in Vancouver. We can take a real good look at what we've done just here in this city, folks. Whether it's the Canada Line, the Evergreen Line, whether it's the Port Mann Bridge, the Sea to Sky Highway, whether it's hosting one of the greatest Winter Olympics that's ever been held in this country, I'll tell you, we have got a record we can be really proud of. And I have no trouble defending that record. I'm not going to listen to the NDP narrative on that record, and I won't listen to even members of our own team try and talk as if we're dragging an anvil around. That is a record that I'll put up against any government in this country, anytime, anywhere. And know this, it's not just about the past, but we got to be proud of our past. We didn't get everything right. What government does? Who here comes from a business? Anyone involved in business here? Who's never made a mistake? Who's run a perfect business? Nobody. Because that's not reality. What we have to do is have the humility to say when we make mistakes and do better. And we will. And we did. And we'll do that going forward. And so I want you to know this. Going forward means making sure we have affordable childcare, affordable daycare, make sure that we've got a vision for the future with the environment, and I want to make sure we double down on supporting our grassroots, that we support you, the builders of this party, the foundation of this party. And going forward, I guarantee you this, we work together, we will not only build that momentum, build that party, build a future, we will form government, we will earn it, and we will deserve it, and we will do great things in the province of British Columbia. Thank you very much.
Just to be really clear, I'm doing this so I can become the next premier of the province so that we can get back in government and accomplish really great big goals. But we must never lose sight that this is actually the grassroots in politics that's so very important. It is about reaching out and connecting with people so that we slowly build our army. And it takes time. It might be 5 people in a living room, or 10 people in a church basement, or 25 people at Riot Brewing, but this is what we're going to have to do all across the province so that we build up supporters. And hopefully people leave the meeting thinking, I can get on with that program. I'm doing this because I care a lot about this party. But as we go forward, I have an obligation to all of you. And that obligation is to make sure I stitch together a winning coalition. We will always be fiscally responsible because we're thinking about the next generation. And that's why I'm running, because I've got 2 young daughters, 11 and 8, and I'm thinking about that generation, your kids, your grandkids, so that they can grow up knowing that they've got people in government that are thinking beyond the next election. I want to ensure that we are a province and a party that welcomes and embraces diversity. I want to make sure that we are a party that brings in more women, more millennials, more Gen Zs, more young people. I want to make sure everybody feels welcome supporting this party. Over the next few months, I'm going to be talking about what I've talked about since the day I launched. And that is that we need to rebrand, reboot, and re-energize this party. And the way we're going to do that is by making sure that we have big ideas again, that we stand for something. And that's how, in 3.5 years, we will form government.
This is the beginning of a new era for the BC Liberal Party, because Michael Lee is running. Some people run only when opportunity is there for themselves. Michael is running because he sees a need and an opportunity for all of us. Because he knows real change in our political movement can only come with hard work, commitment, and endurance. He doesn't ask that you go to him, he comes to you and travels all across BC. In your backyards, at your local cafes, at your workplaces, Michael connects. Michael understands and shares the experiences of so many British Columbians. As a father, professional, volunteer, community leader, son of immigrants, and now a candidate for leadership of the BC Liberal Party. He understands communities. He has compassion. He sees the underappreciated and overlooked. He empowers us to come along with him. He respects hard work, individual initiative, and community building. Michael connects us all.
Our party needs to be rebuilt around the core values of accountability, community, compassion, integrity, and inclusivity. This is not a top-down exercise with quick fixes. We need to do the hard work all across our province to bring about real change from the ground up. We need to build a party that not only can provide real solutions, but can be trusted to do what is right for a better future for our families. To win the next election, we need to be united, seek reconciliation, and restore trust with everyday British Columbians. Now is the time to create a truly modern BC Liberal Party. Together, your voice makes us stronger.
Michael is the leader who will unite our BC Liberal Party and help us win back all of BC in the next election. Let the new era begin.
This is time. This is time for a difficult conversation. We've come here this morning, and I'm truly inspired by all of you, those of you who have spoken and presented to our group here, the Provincial Council, to the leadership that Shirley Bond has been providing, to all the leadership candidates, and to reigning to come. There's a lot that is facing our party at this time. We're faced with one of the most challenging periods of our history in this province. And I know that the BC Liberal Party can provide that strong, compassionate, and economic leadership as we emerge from COVID. But this campaign is a real test of leadership. It's a test of each of our potential abilities to deal with tough issues before becoming responsible for the even more consequential issues if one of us is so fortunate to have the privilege to serve as Premier of our province. And as I said, this campaign is also a time for a difficult conversation about the path forward for our party. Now is the time to talk about who we are, what we stand for, and how we want to go forward. We are the best political team in this province to help BC emerge from COVID. But unless we do better, we will not win the confidence of enough people to form government. Our party has lost 40% of our total vote share since 2001. We're at a real crossroads. We've had so many successes, but simply reflecting on past accomplishments won't inspire that next generation of new voters. British Columbians deserve and demand more. If allowed to take hold, old school approaches and outdated behaviors are going to keep our party in opposition for another term or more when our province needs us most. The BC Liberal Party has always had great ideas. There are great ideas in this room. But none of our great ideas are going to see the light of day if we don't win back government again. And we need to do the hard work to restore trust with British Columbians so that we can win that next election. We need to strengthen the foundation of our own house and with our issues, deal with them if we want to form government again. This leadership race is about selecting the right person at the right time to lead our party. And we're testing the values and the skills of all of us I'm running to lead that rebuild, to win that next election. I'm tested, I'm true, I'm strong, and I'm ready for that challenge. I've outlined 5 core values through the campaign that I've run to date. To rebuild our party: accountability, compassion, community, integrity, and inclusivity. This is what Val Litwin was speaking to when he presented. What are the core values of the BC Liberal Party? From day one of my campaign, I set this out. This is what I believe that we need to strengthen our foundation in order to move forward. As for accountability through this long leadership process, I took the time to build a campaign team with a strong foundation. That foundation has core values that I believe are important for our party. We've set new, higher standards as set out in my party renewal policy, with a code of conduct for our campaign team to ensure that our team is safe and welcoming for all, free of any kind of harassment. I made that clear from the very beginning, that we must be accountable to each other. And of course, as BC Liberals, what is fundamental to us all is fiscal responsibility and accountability. As set out in my government accountability and integrity policy, there must be increased transparency as to where our tax dollars are going, including about reporting about government services versus administration costs. Building community is about rebuilding from the ground up. We need to reach out to communities, to listen to the voices across our province about the issues that are really concerning them. Access to health care, the important investments in infrastructure, reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, and support for small businesses. We need to develop candidates who are truly grounded in communities, those who are leaders, as we look forward to the next election. And we need to foster partnerships, not the NDP mindset that government knows best and only government has the solution. We need to empower communities to make those local decisions with local partnerships, not the top-down approach that often overlooks the realities and the needs that are on the ground. As for compassion, well, we really need to step up. We need to do more for those in need. The NDP approach to housing, mental health, addiction, and homelessness is not working. It's high spending, services are poor, and it's mismanaged in their top-down, wasteful, heavy system that is letting everyone down. It's time for the BC Liberals to step up with solutions and to do so with compassion. As for integrity, we need to learn from our mistakes and set new and higher standards for our party. I've made my own leadership accountability pledge, and I'm holding myself to that same higher standard, to walk the talk. Integrity is not something you do once. It's something you do in every decision. It's a demonstrated record of behavior. As for inclusivity, we need to modernize our party so that everyone feels welcome, regardless of your age, your gender, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, or your religion. Leadership is about calling out intolerance. We must have the courage to call it out when we see it. And that's what I did earlier this fall. I was the candidate who spoke up directly against the hate and intolerance coming into our party through a leadership race with a potential candidate when he was under consideration. I see the silence by those who chose not to take a stand as failed leadership. I applaud Leoc and the party for their decision to reject that candidacy after a thorough review. Staying silent or not being decisive on discrimination and hate cost us riding after riding in the last election. As you may know, campaign staff working for one of the other candidates in this leadership race were recently involved in the harassment of a member of my campaign team. This incident involved misogynistic language and behavior in a public place. We immediately raised this privately with the candidate's team, but this resulted in no immediate apology nor consequences. Once it became public, many people lent their voices. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Val, Gavin, Renee, and Ellis, who spoke out to condemn the behavior. The tone and culture for our campaigns and our party take their cues from those leading them. A campaign or candidate should never enable a culture where this type of behavior would happen. There must be consequences to unacceptable behavior, and they must be decisive and swift, not as damage control after widespread public pressure. We suffered losses with this kind of old style of leadership as recently as in the last election. We cannot repeat our mistakes. We must learn from them and move forward. I've heard from young people, women, diverse supporters, and so many others who said they cannot vote for the party or a leader that stays silent on these matters. But we can restore their trust by doing better and electing a leader who's driven by doing what's right and when it's difficult to do so. These values will give us the foundation to rebuild this party. But how do we execute that rebuild is based on three key pillars in my approach. First, like I said in the first leadership run that I had, I'm ready to broaden the appeal of our party. Back then, I said that the NDP and the Greens don't own the space around concern for lowering our carbon footprint. How do we innovate our healthcare system? How do we ensure that we strengthen our education system for a changing and dynamic world? We failed to own that ground, and this NDP government is still failing on all these fronts. We can only succeed as BC Liberals if we act leadership for today's challenges. We can't return to the political playbook of a decade ago for the issues we face today. Second, we need to rebuild and figure out who we want to be as a party before moving forward with a name change. This is why I've taken this values-based approach. As I've said in my party renewal policy, I will bring that decision to a member convention. It makes no sense to rename before we've listened to members, and together, we need to do this together to define who we truly are. Some other candidates think we can simply change our name, have a quick fix, put up a new coat of paint. That's not going to work. We must rebuild from the foundation up. Finally, it is time to have increased support for those of you riding presidents in the regions. We know we can't continue to have campaigns run remotely from downtown Vancouver. They need more resources and empowerment. Riding presidents and volunteers, those of you in the room, those of you who are listening at home, know better than anyone how hard it is to mobilize people, raise money, and win at the local level. You need our support so we can win back ridings across BC. I believe in this party just as you do. That's why we're all here. And I believe in our values, and I believe that many British Columbians believe the same. The fight is not just for us, but for the people of BC. But we need to rethink our approaches. Bragging about past accomplishments won't win back BC today. I'm a bridge builder, a builder of bridges with people. As someone who's worked in our community, as a lawyer, as a volunteer for community boards, team leader, husband, father, MLA, and now leadership candidate for a second time. I bring people together and build community everywhere I go. I want you to join me in empowering real day, everyday British Columbians to engage in our party and shape our direction. We need to think bigger, not this left-right political spectrum. It's time to get back to basics, to bring forward real solutions rather than polarizing our politics even further. We need to ensure that people in BC have well-paying jobs, access to homes, safe childcare options, and reliable health care. To do that, we need all hands on deck. Now, as many of you know, my wife Christina is my partner in life and in politics, and by far the most popular of the two of us. She has traveled with me for over 15,000 kilometers across.
They were long kilometers.
Yes, they were very long, I know. And she drove most of them. So I really appreciate all your driving services, your excellent listening skills, and your advice. So Christina, you have something to share with us.
So we just want to thank you. That 15,000 kilometers plus that we drove and went to all these meet and greets and events, we thank riding presidents, we thank MLAs for opening your backyards, for organizing them, for bringing people, making the calls. We learned a lot and we heard a lot. Michael says your voice matters, and it really does. BC is one big community. Michael is trying to build that bridge so that we all are connected. And we thank you so much, and you guys really were great. Thank you for giving that trip what it was for us.
Well, thanks, and thanks for being there with me for all those miles and kilometers. Despite all the work ahead of us, there is a challenge that we can face if we want to bring about change. I know we can rebuild this party together. For months, I've been talking about your ideas around this province. I've traveled with Christina to so many communities across BC, and I've heard that you're ready for change. Let's reject the old school politics and embrace a new face and style of leadership. If you agree that's the change we need, I ask for your support in February 2022. I need your help to get across that finish line. I'm committed to do things differently for our party and as Premier of this province. I give you my commitment to lead with integrity and with strength. We can rebuild our party on its foundational strengths while modernizing our party to be more inclusive, more balanced, and more united. I want to lead this effort, and I ask you to join me because your voice makes us stronger. Thank you.
No. Taking that second, let's all stand up really quickly because I can see you starting to nod off just a little bit, you know. Some yoga, you know, like arms up and down, around. All right, there we go. Thank you. Thank you.
Introducing Renee Merrifield.
Thank you guys so much. I have to admit, it is a little bit intimidating to go last. Number one, we have incredible candidates, and so they have given us already amazing ideas and fabulous thoughts and compelling speeches and stolen most of mine, to be honest. But it's also the fact that I really want to change your lives. I don't want to just take this next 15 minutes and fill it up with my voice. I want you to be changed. So right here, right now, I'm going to change it in the first 30 seconds of our time together. Are you ready? Are you with me? Here we go. Brushing your teeth is nothing more than cleaning your skeleton. I know, mind blown. And here's another one for you. The only difference between partly cloudy and partly sunny is the perspective of the meteorologist. That's right, partly sunny, partly cloudy, glass half full, glass half empty, perspective. Today, I want us to take our reality. I want us to change our perspective, and we're going to make different choices because of it. And in making different choices, we're actually going to build the momentum that's necessary to take us into government in 2024. How are we going to do this? Well, we start with reality. Our reality is we once had it all, and we do not. That is our reality. But what do we do with that reality? Where do we go from there? In the 25 years of leading my companies, the one thing we've always done is an autopsy party. Now, maybe the physician in the crowd is very excited by that thought, but most would not be. Now, I like to put it as a party because I wanted them all to be excited and positive when they came into that boardroom. The autopsy part was because we were going to tear apart every aspect of that journey that got us to that decision that took us to an unintended consequence that we did not like. And in doing so, we actually could learn. Because I truly believe the only failure is not learning from what we've done. So what have we learned? What can we say we've understood from where we are today? Well, number one, we have to change. You've heard that from all of the other candidates. We cannot keep doing the same things over and over again and expect a different result. Number two, we need a leader that doesn't have the political baggage of the past and is different. Not wants to be different, not could be different, not could foster difference, but actually is different. And we need to build differently. Number three, we need to learn. We need to get back to that grassroots. We need to listen again. And in doing so, we're going to build the relationships. Just like Jackie said earlier today, we're going to build relationships that we've once lost. We're going to build them with nurses. We're going to build them with teachers. We're going to build them with autistic parents. We're going to make sure that we're on the front of everyone's mind, not just industry. Number four, we need more than policy. We need more than just defeating the NDP. We actually need vision and values. You know why? Society demands why. They demand to know why they should vote for us, why they should vote for our candidates, why it should be us. And the fifth thing that we need to learn, or that we have learned, is that we need to recruit. Yes, new members, absolutely, but way more than that. We have one of the biggest recruitment processes in recorded history in front of us for new MLAs. And we need to recruit voters. Every voter in British Columbia is going to ask two things. The first is, do you see me? Do you see my issues? Do you understand my community? Do you know my dreams? Do you understand who I am and who I want to become? Do you understand the obstacles? Can you help remove them? Do you see me? And the second thing that every voter is going to want to know from us, can I see myself in you? As a voter, can I see myself in the MLA candidate that's been chosen? Can I see myself when I look at that photograph of all of your MLAs? Can I see myself in you? And I'll be honest, second little piece of reality. Right now, our party has a diversity problem. But if we solve it, if we truly find that leader who can set the table for all voices, for all opinions, for all religions, for all races, for all genders, for all ages, for all orientations, for all identifications, for all different backgrounds, and then foster those fierce conversations that actually take us to a place of unity and walk out that door, we will slay the NDP. Destroy them. Why? Because they still have 5, no offense to anyone in the room, middle-aged white dudes controlling their entire party. They have a photograph of diversity. They have token diversity, but they don't have it real. And truly, if we get this right, we might become the first political party in Canada, not just BC, to do it. And I will tell you that if we do, every voter in BC will be able to see themselves in us. Because we have listened, we have heard, we have responded, and we are now them, their representative. I've worked for the party for 20 years. And I started working for the party, and I asked to meet with my MLA, who was the MLA of Kelowna Lake Country at the time. His name was John Weisbeck. He was in opposition. And I went to him and I said, I cannot find a job in the Okanagan. What do we do? And he said to me, we have to get the NDP out of government. And he graced me with enough time to actually have me understand, as a young 22-year-old, John Weisbeck stood Burma shaving for me in the middle of the snow this last October. And I did get involved with the next campaign, and with Cindy Hawkins. And I have two MLAs, or former MLA, current MLA, sitting here that I served on their riding executives. Why? Because when I arrived to the Okanagan in the 90s, there were no jobs. I would love to think of myself as some phenomenal entrepreneur who just always dreamt of owning my own companies, but the reality is, there were no jobs, and so I made one. It was called consultant, which was a really fancy name for unemployed. But I took on any single contract I could find, anything I could do to try and make money, to put food on my table for my brand new baby. That's why I did it. But I started to plan. I started to wonder. I started to dream about doing business differently, not as a one-off, but as an actual business that would be there for the next person that needed a job. And so I built, and I built hard, and I built fast, and I built around me. And I built it based on values and vision and a new way forward. Because I worked for a lot of companies that told me I would never amount to anything because I was a woman. I could never be as good in business because I was a woman. That I couldn't get a loan because I was a woman. And to that, I said, no, I will. I will. And after 25 years, almost a year ago to the day, I was asked to jump into a boat that looked like it was sinking and to start bailing, and bailing hard. And I did. And I did. And I was able to do so because of that leadership style that I had possessed, which was to actually empower those around me. My companies are all still going forward without me. They don't require me anymore because I've built teams of people around me. This is not a race to decide the leader. This is a race to decide the style of leadership. And we're either going to choose a leader that has a transactional format, you do for me, I do for you, tit for tat, fear, click, or we choose a leader who will empower those around them, who has strength. So much strength, they're not fearful of anyone else's strength. They'll actually call it forward. I am a transformational leader. I chose to build my entire companies based on transformational leadership. And it is built on a new economy where we can all win. There is a win-win to be had, not an old economy where there are winners and losers. And here's my promise. As the leader, I will work for you. I will work insanely hard for you. And you can talk to any one of my previous team members to ask them how hard I work. Yes, I'm gifted with an ability to only sleep 4 hours a night. It was a weird thing. My mom took me to see specialists. I've just never been able to sleep. I stopped fighting it when I was about 20, and now I just consider it 2 lifetimes that I get to lead. But truly, I love to work hard. And I'm going to get the training. I'm going to get the tools. I love some of the ideas. I want to tackle the NDPs, how their system and how they do things, but I will also give you the inspiration. Together, we'll work on the why. Together, we'll figure out the how. And we will move forward together on the incredible foundation that's already been started. I was told a lot of times that I couldn't do things, that it was impossible. I realized probably about 10 or 15 years ago that when someone said that, what they were saying wasn't that I couldn't do it, but they couldn't do it. Not that it was truly impossible, but that they could not see a way through. Let me tell you, I can see us winning in 2024. I can see us winning in such a big way that we actually clean sweep just like 2001. So if you're sitting in an unheld riding, and I've been talking to a lot of different presidents of unheld ridings, we are going to get you the help, the tools, the expertise, and the support that you need so that we will win your riding. And I was told once, well, there are just unwinnable ridings. No, there are not. There are just ridings that have not yet been won. We can win in 2024. We can build our party into a powerhouse, and we can take back every single riding in this province. Why? Because I think our party's forecast is choppy seas right now, but sunshine ahead. I believe in that partly sunny forecast. And I also believe in brushing my teeth and that it is cleaning my skeleton. Are you with me? Will you help me? Because together, we're going to win in 2024, and we're going to build better belonging. Thank you.
That concludes our leadership highlight. Thank you all for tuning in.